Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Westbridge. We're so glad you're here with us this morning. Let's stay on our feet. Let's worship together. And there's one thing I'm asking, one thing I'm needing. A moment that's passing is not what I'm seeking. Like it's the air I'm breathing. I want your presence, feet on the earth, heart full of heaven, till for you completely consumes me. I can't get enough, I can't get enough of you. Your fire burning right through me. I can't get enough, I can't get enough of you. Together with us this morning. And I'm after your spirit more than a feeling. I don't need a reason, no, to keep chasing who you are. Like it's the air I'm breathing. I want your presence, feet on the earth, heart full of heaven, till for you completely consumes me. I can't get enough, I can't get enough of you. Your fire burning right through me. I can't get enough, I can't get enough of you. You can't get enough of you. You can't get enough of you. And it all belongs to Jesus today. We say, every beat is yours. You can have it all. Take over like only you can. All I'm reaching for, you and nothing more. Take over like only you can. Every beat is yours. You can have it all. Take over like only you can. All I'm reaching for, you and nothing more. Take over like only you can. Gonna give you all our worship, Jesus. Hey, feel for you completely consumes me. I can't get enough, I can't get enough of you. Your fire burning right through me. I can't get enough, I can't get enough of you. You can't get enough of you. You can't get enough of you. Yeah. We can't get enough of Him in our lives, especially when we build our foundation upon Him. So let's sing about that today. Christ is my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand when everything around me is shaking. Oh, I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus, 'cause He's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would He fail now? He won't. He won't. I still got joy in chaos. Oh, I've got peace that makes no sense. So I won't be going under. I'm not held by my own strength, 'cause I built my life on Jesus. He's never let And I know that's true, that you never fail, you never will. You're always right by my side. No matter what I face, you're my firm foundation. We sing rain came and wind blew. Rain came, wind blew, but my house was built on you. And I'm safe with you. I'm gonna make it through. Yeah, rain came, wind blew, but my house was built on you. And I'm safe with you. I'm gonna make it through. You're gonna make it. Rain came, wind blew, my house was built on you. And I'm safe with you. I'm gonna make it through. Yes, you are. Oh, I'm gonna make it through. 'Cause I'm standing strong on you. Oh, I'm gonna make it through. 'Cause my house is built on you. Christ is my firm foundation, yeah. The rock on which I stand when everything around me is shaking. I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus. 'Cause he's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would he fail now? He won't. He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. He won't. No, he won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. No, he won't. We got a new song this morning. It's called I Need You. And this song is a great prayer written to music that acknowledges our need for God in our lives. And something I know is true today is that God never gets tired of hearing our need for him. And when I think about this, I kind of think about my 4-year-old daughter and how needy she is, as an analogy to kind of help us in our approach towards God today. And pretty much, there's not a time that goes by every single day where she is not coming to me or my wife with every single one of her needs. The big ones, the small ones, the bad ones, the good ones, everything in between. She's always like, Daddy, 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 I need this. Daddy, 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 I need that. Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. Almost to the point where I just want to run and go hide in a room and pretend I'm not there because I'm only human. But she does that because she knows I'm close by. And she knows that when she calls on me, I'm eventually going to come answer and I'm going to come to her help and come to her need. And, there might be times, in my life where I'm going to get tired of hearing that. But what I know about God, he never gets tired of hearing our needs. And I think that should always be an approach in our time of worship, to bring our big ones, small ones, to bring the good, the bad, and everything in between to God, and acknowledge that we are in need of a Savior and we need to be put back together by him. No matter what our need is, no matter what we're going through, we can bring it to him with all of our heart today. So I want to encourage you today to lean in, to draw close, and know that when you draw close, when you give God your need, he's going to show you how close he really is, and he's closer than ever before. So let's lean into that. Let's worship today. This song is called I Need You.
Within all consumed Jesus, thank you so much for your presence here in this room this morning, each and every single one of us. Lord, the world's just always pushing us to be more and more independent. It's what it's asking of us, for us to do it on our own, figure things out by ourselves. And my prayer is that we would be a people who are completely dependent on you, Jesus. For every breath, for every word that comes out of our mouth, for every action in our lives, Jesus, would it be guided by you and the path that you've set for us. Lord, would your presence in our hearts, would your Holy Spirit help us to be just like the words in that song, people with feet on the earth but hearts in heaven. We give this morning up to you, Lord. We're here to love you, here to praise you. Jesus, would you make us more like you? It's in your name we pray. Amen. Well, thanks so much for joining us this morning. You can go ahead, have a seat, and get ready to enjoy the rest of the service.
Welcome everyone to Westbridge, whether you are online or in person. Thank you so much for joining us, and may the 4th be with you. My name is Jedi John, and I'm a part of our creative team. If you are a first-time guest with us today, welcome. We are so glad that you're here. If you want to learn more about Westbridge, download the Westbridge app. We've got a button called 5 and 5 on the app where you can discover 5 things about Westbridge in 5 minutes or less. On your way in, you may have taken a program. Inside, there are 3 things. First is an outline to follow along with today's talk. Next is a connection card. If you're a first-time guest, please fill out as much information as you feel comfortable giving us. If you bring that card to the Next Steps area in the lobby, we have a t-shirt for you, just as our way of saying thank you for being here today. The last thing in the program is a giving envelope. If you'd like to give today, you can drop it in the giving stations on the way out of the auditorium or mail it anytime, postage paid. You can also give by text. Just text any dollar amount to 84321 to get started. Child dedications are next Sunday, Mother's Day. Child dedication is a statement you make before God and the church family that you will not be passive in your child's spiritual growth. Click on events in the Westbridge app to learn more or sign up. Discover Westbridge is coming on May 16th. At Discover Westbridge, you'll learn more about who we are and why we do things the way we do them and how you can be a part of it. Click on events in the Westbridge app to learn more or sign up. As we move to the next part of our service, we want you to know that Westbridge is intentional about creating welcoming environments online and in person for everyone. So no matter what your relationship with God is or isn't, we are so glad you're here. Enjoy the rest of the service.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to Westbridge Church. My name's Jeremiah. I'm one of the pastors here, and it's awesome to have you with us today. It's a beautiful day in Minnesota, and so many of you are smiling so much more than usual. It's amazing how that works, isn't it? Hello to everybody joining us online. If you're in a parent viewing room, that's a great option if you have small kids you prefer to keep with you during the service. And thanks for using that. Everybody sitting in our cafe, great to see you. Glad you're here. And real quick, a couple of quick things that I want to mention before we jump into the talk this morning. Jedi Johnny just mentioned it, that we have a Discover Westbridge class coming up a week from Friday. And really, this is what this is all about. If you want to learn about who we are as a church, our culture, our values, how we operate, why we do things, the way that we do things, and then really it's the best place to kind of discover how can I be a part of that. And whether you've been coming for a week or a month or a year or longer, it doesn't matter how long you've been attending. If you haven't been through one of these, I'd encourage you to check it out. You can just jump on the Westbridge Church app and click events and sign up right away for that. And it's a really easy process. We'll provide dinner and childcare and be done in an hour or less. And so it's a really simple way to learn about the church. We're going to pull back the curtain, kind of reveal everything about who we are. We want you to kind of ask your questions. And so feel free to jump into that, reserve your spot for that. And we want to make sure that we've got plenty of food and childcare for everybody. So I want to encourage you to do that. And then the other thing I just want to make sure and mention all of the weeks leading up here to Memorial Day is no service Memorial Day weekend. We do online only. But starting right after Memorial Day, we're launching a Thursday night service. And so if you would say, man, you know what, Thursday nights, that would work so good for my schedule. Wednesdays, if you're like, man, I just want to sleep in, no guilt, beat the brunch crowd, whatever. Thursday nights are it. And so that launches right after Memorial Day. And all the teams that we have on Sunday mornings, we have to duplicate on Thursday nights. So if you're thinking, hey, I could jump into a serving team on Thursdays, that would really be cool. Coffee team, kids team, musicians, tech team, greeters, kids check-in, all that stuff. We're duplicating all of that on Thursday evenings. And so we're going to give this a shot and see how it goes, because we want to create more seats for more people to experience God's love through Westbridge Church. So if you're interested in that service kicks off the Thursday after Memorial Day. And then if you want to jump into a team and help us launch that service, make sure you, again, just go to the Westbridge Church app, click on Join a Team, and that will help you get into that where you can sign up for one of those serving teams. We'll connect you with a staff member to get you plugged in and get you rocking. Last thing I'm going to say is this, and she would hate me for saying this, but she's not here. It's my wife's birthday today. She's 29, and we pulled in this morning. My 10-year-old comes with me every week. We pulled in at 6 o'clock this morning, right when we parked. He looks over at me and he goes, I think I have a fever. And I felt his forehead and I go, you definitely have a fever. And so she took him home. So it's not because it's her birthday and she didn't want to see anybody. I just want to make that clear. So there you go. All right, last week we kicked off a series called Soul Detox. Soul Detox, and we're simply, this series, the reason we're doing this series is because just like your fridge kind of collects weird smells and mystery leftovers over time, our souls collect some stuff over time as well. Our culture and the world we live in, it begins to pollute our hearts and our minds, and eventually it has an impact on our relationships. It has an impact on our decisions. It can have an impact on our relationship with God. And so we're going to talk today. Last week we talked about how do I filter toxic thoughts. We got such great feedback from last week. If you missed that, I'd encourage you to check that out online. Today we're going to talk about toxic words. Now, all of us have moments in our life that are burned into our memory, right? It's like there's certain historical events or events in pop culture where you just remember where you were when that happened. Quick poll, how many of you can remember exactly where you were, that exact moment when you heard about 9/11? Yeah, tons of us, right? Let me go back a little further. How many of you remember exactly where you were when you heard that the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded? Yeah. How many of you can remember exactly where you were when JFK was assassinated? A few less hands, all right, glad you're here. Anybody the Titanic? Okay, just checking. If somebody raised their hand, I'd be like, I need your skincare little product, because that's amazing. And so throughout our lifetime, each of us have these moments that are memories for us, right? They get burned into our memory, and they're not always historical events. They're not always pop culture events. Sometimes it's the words that people have spoken to us. Sometimes it's positive words, sometimes it's negative words, but words, good or bad, the words that have been spoken to us, sometimes those are the things that I remember where I was, I remember what I was doing when so-and-so said this to me, and it was so life-giving. Or I remember where I was, I remember what I was doing, and so-and-so said this to me, and it crushed me. And we can remember those. And for some of us, maybe it's even the words that we've spoken to other people. And we remember those words. And whether you like it or not, all of us interact with a vast number of people in various ways and to various degrees every single day. And apparently, it doesn't always go so well. Just look at the sheer amount of money as a culture that we spend on marriage books, on parenting resources, dating apps, leadership and management books, and workplace culture secrets and conflict resolution. It's staggering. Chances are the last 5 years in our culture has only made it more difficult. Chances are in the last 5 years, you have found yourself at odds with, or maybe even in direct conflict with, someone in your life. And this may surprise you, but interacting with others is supposed to be the specialty of the church. I don't know if you realize that. And that's not according to me, that's according to the founder of the church, Jesus. It was his number one single biggest command. He said this in John 13, he's with his disciples. He says, now I'm giving you a new commandment, love each other. Like, well, Jesus, we've heard you say that many times before. We've been hanging out with you for about 3 years. But this commandment wasn't new because of the words. This commandment was new because of the context. Jesus would say, this is the new commandment, love each other. Just as I have loved you, you should love each other. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. In other words, Jesus would say, the way that I want you to love, I don't want you to love others based on how you hope they love you back. And I don't want you to love others based on how they've loved you. I want you to take whatever measure of love you have received from me, and I want you to extend that to the people around you. To the degree that I have loved you, to the degree that I have sacrificed for you, to the degree that I have shown you grace and mercy and forgiveness, I want you to extend that to the people in your life. That this is how people would know. It couldn't be more clear that this is what the church is supposed to be famous for. That when people interact with followers of Jesus, that they would go, man, I don't know about Jesus. I don't know what I think about faith and God and church and religion and Jesus and all this stuff, but those were the nicest group of people I've ever met. They were so kind. They were so loving. I mean, they would just put other people first. That's a group of people I want to be around. This is how you're supposed to know that there's a local church in your community, because there's a group of people who love really, really well. In fact, this is what initially drew people to the teachings of Jesus. It's why Christianity spread like rapid fire in the first century Roman Empire. It was just, man, they treat others so well. And if you're not a Christian or a follower of Jesus, and maybe you're thinking this, do my Christian friends know about that? Do all those people who wear the Christian badge on X, do they know about that? Do all those Christians in the neighborhood, Facebook channel understand that, right? And I totally understand your hesitation over that, because what centuries of church has taught us is that this Jesus distinctive of loving others really well is something that's very easy for us to lose sight of. It's easy to kind of, get focused on other things and forget about it. And sometimes it's easier for us to make church all about our services and our theology than about loving one another well. And sometimes it's easier to just make it something that we kind of smile and nod at and read a verse once in a while, but don't actually put into practice in our day-to-day lives. And today, we're going to talk about how this applies specifically to the words that we use. And this isn't just for followers of Jesus. I would say this, if you're watching online, you're here in the room, and you're just exploring faith, you're trying to figure out this whole God thing, I just want you to know, even if you're not a follower of Jesus, if you will put some of these practices into place in your life, some of these filters that we're going to talk about today, it's going to make your marriage better. It's going to make your parenting better. It'll make your workplace more productive. It'll make your neighborhood more friendly. It will make your community a nicer place to live. Even if you're still wrestling through the faith piece, there's some practical things today that you can put into practice that will really help your life. And for followers of Jesus, this is even more important, because it's what we're supposed to be famous for. And if we're not careful, we're in danger of losing our opportunity to make Jesus famous for what he wants to be famous for. And so today we're going to look at our words. Now, many of us can, maybe most of us can remember a day when the exchange of words looked very different than it does today. Some of us can remember a time when there was no internet. I know, it's shocking. It's shocking to think about. I remember when I was in 8th grade, we had dial-up at our school, and this sound of, and it took you would sign on and come back 7 minutes later, and you got to make sure nobody's on the phone, And we'd get onto the internet. Snail mail was the only option for real correspondence. My wife and I were dated long distance back in the 1900s. I lived in Chicago and she lived in Minneapolis, and we wrote letters to each other. It's crazy, right? You'd put a stamp on it, you'd drop it off at the post office. Unbelievable. Phones were a box on the wall with a really long coiled cord so that you could have phone conversations in other rooms. You would have a rotary dial. Anybody who had multiple zeros in their phone number, you're like, oh my gosh, come on, man. We're literally creating sparks with the telephone, right? Some of you can remember when your main source of news was when somebody would take a literal newspaper and throw it onto your step. That's how you got the news. Now, if you're sitting next to a Gen Zer, they're probably having a panic attack right now. Just rub them on the back. It's going to be okay. Get through this. In fact, let me just share a few truths about our words that we need to be aware of today. Number one, we are using more words than ever before. By a lot. It's not even close. In our culture today, we are using more words than we've ever used. It's estimated that people all over the world, on average, send 306 billion emails. Okay, most of them asking if you want to unsubscribe. We send 4.5 trillion text messages. Half of those are K or a thumbs up emoji. We send 500 million tweets, and we watch 525 million hours of YouTube. Every day. Every day. It's estimated that humans around the world globally create 2.5 quintillion bytes of data per day. That is 2.5 times 10 to the 18th power. That many quintillion, 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every single day that we produce. And it's growing every year. In fact, studies show that since the birth of social media, humans exchanged more words in that 1 year than in all the previous years of human history combined. That is unbelievable. We are using more words than we have ever used before, and we are thinking less about our words than ever before. Isn't this true? We're using more words than we've ever used, and we're thinking less about them than we ever have. Because when words were more difficult to compose and the interaction took longer, it was more personal, and we spent more time formulating our words. We thought more about our words. It's the difference between writing a heartfelt letter with a feather quill and rage commenting on Facebook with, Cheeto dust on your fingernails. It's the difference of a face-to-face conversation and hanging out in the comment section on the local, STMA bulletin board. Like, you get on there and it's just like, oh man, somebody says one thing like, I really liked this restaurant, and it's like, attack. It's unbelievable, right? And it's nobody's fault. It's just naturally what happens when you live in the age that we live in. We can send words out into the world with very little effort and almost no thought and no direct accountability, no feedback. It's just happening all the time. And so we don't feel the weight of our words like we used to feel the weight of our words, which is why we've sent things in an email or a text message or a comment on social media that we would never say to that person face to face. We have a lot of courage from our keyboard to say things that we would never say if we were sitting in the living room with that person. So we're using more words than ever before. We're thinking less about them than we ever have. And here's why that matters so much. Proverbs, the King Solomon writes this: the tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. The tongue has the power of life and death. Your words are incredibly powerful. That's a big deal. I mean, you wouldn't casually walk around just waving a sword around, right? And yet, we wave our words around like a toddler with a lightsaber. I mean, think about this. We use more words than ever, think less about them than ever, and God has given Solomon incredible wisdom, and he writes this wisdom down for his kids in these Proverbs. And one of the things that he writes that's so relevant for us is this: don't forget that your words have power. Your words have the power of life and death. Isn't it true that you can speak and in a moment you can fill someone's heart or you can crush it? Your words have power. In just a few sentences, you can bolster someone with confidence or you can cripple them with insecurity. In just a few words, you can give someone an incredible sense of self-worth, or you can crush them with shame and worthlessness. Your words have power. With our words, we can draw people close. With our words, we can push people away. We can bestow dignity or we can bestow degradation. We can surround people with support. We can isolate them with opposition. Why is that? Because your words have power. The tongue holds life and death. The tongue has the power of life and death, and that's not random. There's a reason for that. And the reason that your words have so much power is this: our words have power because God's words have power. Our words have power because God's words have power, and we were created in the image of God. In the creation narrative, God speaks and the earth is formed. God's words clearly have power. God says, "Let there be light," and there was light. God says, "Let this happen, let this happen, let this happen," and it all starts to form because God's words have power, and you and I are created in the image of God. In John's account of the life of Jesus, John was one of Jesus' closest friends and followers and an eyewitness, and when he begins to describe how Jesus came into the world, here's the language that he uses. He says, "The Word became flesh." Literally meaning the power that God used to speak the universe into existence has now taken on flesh and blood. The power that spoke the universe into existence shows up as Jesus. The Word, the power of God, took on flesh and bone. And when Jesus shows up, man, he heals diseases, he calms storms, creation bends to his words, and you and I are created in God's image. So when we speak, it has power. Which is why some of our best memories are the words that someone has spoken to us. It's also why some of our deepest wounds are the words someone has spoken to us. Our words have power. Now, our words won't create galaxies out of nothing, but our words have the power of life and death. Oftentimes, we can't remember the words we spoke 5 minutes ago, but we can remember something that we said 5 years ago, or we can remember something that was spoken to us 5 years ago. And because we're using more words than ever before and thinking about them less than we ever have, we've allowed ourselves to develop this dangerous habit that has the potential to undermine what we want to be known for as a church. What we want to be known for. Several years ago, the Harvard Business Review came out with an article that reported on several different studies that had been done about our words. Multiple different studies in multiple different fields. And specifically, they were studying different groups and the ratio of positive words to negative words and the correlation between that ratio and healthy relationships. So they were trying to figure out how many positive to negative words are needed, what's the best ratio to develop healthy relationships. And the first study was a guy named Dr. John Gottman, who studies marriages. He concluded it takes 5 positive words for every 1 negative word to make sure you have a healthy marriage. Those were the marriages that lasted, that went the distance, that were the most healthy. In fact, he could predict with 94% accuracy which marriages were healthy and which marriages were headed for divorce simply based on how he observed that simple ratio play out in their marriage relationship. Well, then another group came along and they started tracking workplace teams. The efficiency, the productivity, the morale in teams in workplace scenarios, and they came to the exact same conclusion. 5 to 1 was the ratio. 5 positive words to 1 negative word made your team the most productive and the most successful. Then some child specialists came along. They began studying parenting and confirmed what the other studies had said. If you were to pick a ratio that would maximize a child's motivation and security and self-esteem, it would be 5 positive words to 1 negative word. Now, sometimes you need the one, right? You need to speak discipline and boundaries and correction, but a child needs to grow up in a climate of life-giving words. And what's amazing is, all of these studies, there is no faith element attached to these whatsoever. These are simply observations that were made about how humans interact with each other. And here's the really sobering thought. These are the best marriages. These are the most productive workplaces and teams. The average American lives with a 3 to 1 negative to positive word ratio. Most of us experience or deliver 3 negative comments to every 1 positive. 3 negative words to every 1 positive word spoken, which makes me feel a lot better because that's a lot more realistic to my day-to-day life. If I'm being honest, right? I wish I could tell you, I've mastered this, guys. I'm clipping along at a 5 to 1 ratio. But I gotta tell you, when you speak from your weaknesses, you never run out of material. And that's just the truth. You open, X, you open Facebook, any social media, and it feels like someone just backed up a dump truck of toxic negativity and just unloaded it there, right? You go to your neighborhood Facebook page and someone's commenting about your yard, and don't even get me started about your mailbox. That's coming in another post, And all of this was before the election. Think about this. Has anybody noticed a big surge in positive words in the last year? Like, man, everyone's just so friendly lately. It's amazing. We have normalized a way of talking to each other that, at the very least, is keeping us from thriving in the various areas of our lives. We've normalized a way of talking to each other that's keeping us mediocre in our marriages and mediocre in our friendships, mediocre in the workplace. We will have more insecurity than confidence. We're experiencing more hurt than healing. More regret than fond memories, a more divided than unified community. And for followers of Jesus, if we're honest, we've normalized a way of talking to each other that has kept us from loving the way that Christ has loved us. from loving the way that Jesus has loved us. We will never be known for what we should be known for if we can't learn how to deal with our words. And so, a guy named Paul lived in the first century, became a follower of Jesus, traveled around the Roman Empire, would start churches, and then he'd write letters back to the churches. And in one particular letter, he's writing to the group of people that are a church in Ephesus, and he's writing to them how to live out specifically the way of Jesus. How do I contextualize, as I have loved you, you are to love others? And specifically, he talks about their words. Here's what he writes. He says, do not let unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. Let's read it one more time. Do not let unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. This is so helpful. There are two categories of words that Paul addresses. The word Paul uses for unwholesome means rotted or decayed or corrupted. Something that actually rots or decays over time. Instead, Paul says to do the opposite and build people up. He says, use your words not to bring rot and destruction and decay, but instead, use your words to be building blocks that become the foundation on which people can build their lives. Notice that contrast. He's talking about a ratio of words. And I love, Paul doesn't say, let no unwholesome talk come into your mind. That would be impossible, right? Because we all have those words that come to our mind, and they're just sitting right there at the tip of our tongue. I mean, they're just loaded up and ready to go, and they're just like, samey, 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 samey. And Paul says, you just need to keep that from escaping your lips, or possibly your keyboard. And Paul says, hold back the rotten stuff. No spoiled leftovers. No moldy opinions, right? No expired sarcasm. The contrast, according to Paul, is that we need to be more intentional about pushing out words that build others up. We need to be more intentional about holding back destructive words, more intentional about pushing out life-giving words. Well, how do we know which are which? Here's what Paul says, according to their needs. Whatever is helpful according to their needs, which is a little unnatural because when I'm talking, I'm not thinking about your needs. I'm thinking about my needs. When I'm talking, I'm not generally thinking about the other person. I'm thinking about me. I'm thinking about what is good for my needs. And Paul says, no, your words should be a benefit to the listener. And I know sometimes when I say something, it's not for their benefit, it's for my benefit. What if, before I shoot off my mouth or give my opinion or my reaction, what if I ask this one simple question? What words do they need to hear in order to build them up? What would it look like if I just had this filter? Like, what would it look like? What do they need to hear right now to build them up, to create a foundation on which they can build their life? Because my words have power and your words have power. So what would it look like to only speak words that build others up? Maybe you're thinking this, man, I'm trying to think what I could say to this person, and I got nothing. That's probably a good place to start. Say nothing. That's a great place to start. Don't let something come out of your mouth that will tear them down, that leads to rot or decay. It doesn't mean you have to agree on everything. It just means love requires that you ask what is good for them before you speak. And what if I actually have something good and productive to say that will build them up? Then be intentional about saying it. Don't hold that back. We have been given the power of words, not for our benefit, but for the benefit of others. You have a ratio right now, whether you realize it or not, whether you want to admit it or not, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, all of us have a ratio. And if we just let whatever comes naturally, whatever comes to our minds, dictate our words, we will probably live in the realm of 3 negative to 1 positive. That's just probably where we'll be. But your life doesn't have to look that way. And if you're a follower of Jesus, your life can't look that way. It can't look that way and continue to point people to Jesus. That's not who we are, because that's not who Jesus is. And that's not the best for anybody, and it doesn't bring the best out of anybody. And so think for just a minute about the words that Jesus has spoken to you. Freedom, grace, forgiveness, peace, restoration, hope, worth, value. These are the things that Jesus has spoken to you. We need to have a countercultural filter on our mouths that leads to a countercultural result in our lives so that we can get busy being famous for what Jesus wants us to be famous for, loving one another the way Jesus has loved us. So, what if we started to change that ratio? What if we started to shift it for our family, for our neighborhood, for our schools, for our coworkers, for our community that really needs it? So let me give you 3 helpful filters with your words this week to begin to hone in on this ratio and maybe turn it around a little bit. The first filter is this: have I stopped to listen? Have I stopped to listen? I'm convinced if we would start from a position of listening and learning and understanding where others are coming from, it would drastically change the way that we speak to each other. And that's not just my idea. This comes from James, the brother of Jesus, and he wrote this. He says, "You must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. Human anger does not produce the righteousness God desires." Be quick to listen and slow to speak, and that will help you to be slow to anger. And what we've done in our culture is we've reversed that to quick to speak, quicker to tweet, and I will set your whole worldview on fire in 10 seconds or less. And we have just gone the other direction with it. And I sincerely believe there would be a lot less anger in our world if we would pause long enough to listen. If we'd be quick to listen and slow to speak. And James actually says, quick to listen, slow to speak. The result is slow to become angry. Before you say what is burning in your mind to say, have you spent some time listening to where the other person is coming from? And it doesn't mean you will agree with them. It just means that you will probably have a better filter for your response. You don't have to agree with everything everybody says. But we can take the time to listen and understand where they're coming from. And doing that provides a much better place for us to speak from. So, have you stopped to listen? Second filter is this: are my motives pure? Whatever it is that you're about to say, does it need to be said? And why does it need to be said? Filtering your words does not mean you don't speak truth or that you don't stand up for what you believe in, but before you do that, check your motive. Jesus spoke the truth, but he spoke with grace and truth. And I think far too often we speak the truth because it makes us feel good, and we end up weaponizing the truth for our own sense of pride, building up our own ego. Your words do not build up or benefit those who hear them, no matter how true they are, if you're only using them to clobber your listener. Again, the Apostle Paul would write this as he's writing this in Ephesians. He says this: we will speak the truth in love, growing in every way more and more like Christ. He says we'll speak the truth, but we'll do it in love. The motive is that we are for someone, and to withhold the truth from them would be unkind. And so I'm going to speak the truth, but the motivation is love. Before you spew whatever it is that you're about to with your words, ask yourself, does it need to be said? Is this about helping someone, or is this about making myself look clever in front of someone? Am I speaking the truth in love, or am I venting the truth in passive aggression? There are so many things that I say personally that I know are motivated by my own insecurities. It's not for their benefit, it's for my benefit. It's to build up my ego. I say things to protect my own image, to paint myself in a certain light, to make myself seem better in someone's eyes than I really am. And if I'm not careful about my motivation, I will use my words unintentionally. If I'm not guarding this, then my motives can get so skewed that I will use my words to tear someone else down in an attempt to build myself up. And we hurt others in the process. So what's your motive? Do you constantly use guilt and shame and judgment to kind of tear people down to build yourself up? Here's what you know about yourself. You've never been guilted into thinking differently. You've never been shamed into thinking differently. So it's not going to happen for other people if you try to shame them or guilt them or judge them into a different way of thinking. We speak the truth, but we do it in love. And our motives, check your motives before we speak. Make sure that you're doing it out of love and not arrogance or pride or ego. So, here's the filters, right? Have I stopped to listen? Are my motives pure? Number 3, how's my tone? This is such a good filter. Such a good question to ask, right? There's a big difference between, wow, you're so brave, and wow, you're so brave. Big difference. Tone makes a big difference. We speak the truth in love. We don't speak the truth in sarcasm or in anger or in reaction, but in love. And sometimes it's not what you say, but how you say it that can make all the difference. Again, let's look at the wisdom found in Proverbs. Solomon writes this: a gentle answer deflects anger, but harsh words make tempers flare. The tongue of the wise makes knowledge appealing, but the mouth of the fool belches foolishness. Isn't this true? Tone matters. I can say something in a nice way and I get a good response. I can say something in a harsh way and it immediately puts somebody on the defensive. Solomon says the tongue of the wise, it makes knowledge appealing. It's like, hey, I've got something that I need to say to you, but the way of my tone, it actually makes you want to hear it. But a fool just belches it out. And that's the reality, is all of us have been guilty from time to time of belching out something that we want to say to somebody rather than guarding our tone. If you have words that you feel need to be said and you think it will benefit the listener, make sure you plan your approach and put your mind in gear before you put your mouth in gear. And here's what I'm going to ask you to consider today as a response. I want you to think about an area of your life, one arena of life, whether it's your home, your marriage, your relationship with kids, neighborhood, workplace environment, whatever it is. And then that arena, I want you to pick one relationship, just one relationship with one person, and begin there. And here's what I want you to do: 5-to-1 ratio of positive words to negative words. See if you can do that this week. Okay, I'm determined, 5-to-1, 5-to-1, 5-to-1. This coworker, my spouse, this child, that neighbor, whatever it is, pick one person and go, I'm going to zero in on them. They're getting the benefit of the 5-to-1 ratio this week. And then see what happens to that one relationship and see if it doesn't make a difference in that relationship. And maybe you're sitting here and you're already thinking of an area of your life and somebody's already popped into your mind. What if we all did that this week? You have no idea what a word from you could do, how it could impact someone, how it could actually become a foundation on which they could begin to build a better future for themselves, because our words have power. Final thought is this: when we build others up, we point them up. When we build others up, we point them up. We're pointing them to the one who created us. This isn't just what successful and productive teams and relationships look like. This is what God looks like. When God speaks, things come to life. When God spoke into your life, you came alive, and we're called to be like him. And Jesus didn't just heal with his hands, he healed with his words. And if we claim to follow him, our words should do the same. Those who are followers of Jesus are called to be an extension of God in our world. People who are looking to discover what God is like should discover what God is like through their encounters with us. So let's use our words as followers of Jesus to accurately reflect the love of our Heavenly Father, who spoke words of life into us. And if you're here today and you need words of life spoken into you, you need to know that's why Jesus came into the world. That all of us are broken on some level. We couldn't keep our own standards, let alone God's standards. And so somewhere along the way, we experienced the shame and the guilt and the brokenness of sin and the world gone sideways. And so, at the right time in human history, God sent Jesus into the world. In other words, the way John would say it, the Word became flesh. And then Jesus listened. He didn't speak for about 30 years. He just listened so that when he did speak, it was coming from a place where he understood us. And then he took all of our sin and brokenness and shame upon himself and allowed himself to be put to death. And when he died, all of that died with him. His body was laid in a tomb, and according to multiple eyewitness accounts, hundreds of people saw Jesus alive again, which means there is more to this life than this life. Death is not the end, and you have been invited to be a part of God's family forever. That God, the God who spoke the universe into existence, knows you, knows your name, declares your worth, and invites you to follow him. So, whether you're watching online, here in the room, if you've never said yes to that invitation, here's what you need to know. This is why this is called good news. It's because you don't earn your way into that. You don't behave your way into it. You don't have to church attend your way into it. It's simply an invitation from the God of the universe who created you and loves you and wants you to experience life to the fullest. So if you'd like to say yes to that invitation, you can just agree with this simple prayer. Jesus, please forgive my sins. Forgive me for the times that I have fallen short, that I've walked away from you. I am so grateful you never walk away from me. So I want to say yes to your invitation. Make me your son. Make me your daughter. Help me to put my trust in you and to follow you as best as I know how from this moment on. God, I want you to be the leader of my life. And God, for every one of us who are following you, each and every day doing our best to follow you, to become more like you, I pray that it would impact our words. God, that we would take so seriously, as you have loved us, we should love one another. And that the way that we love one another, and particularly the words that we use with one another, would point people to your love and to your grace. That people would look at us and go, man, I don't know about Jesus, but those are the most loving people I've ever been around. So God, may our lives, our actions, and specifically our words point others to your love and your grace. We pray this in your name. Amen. Real quick before we go, if you have said yes to following Jesus, maybe this is your first time or you're coming back after a long time, I want you to know this is not the end of the conversation, it's the beginning of the conversation. And I want to put some resources into your hands to help you. And so if you'll take that connection card, check the first box that says I've made a decision to follow Jesus, or just check it on your app. Swing by the next steps area right out here. We have a box that we'd love to give you. It's got a Bible, it's got a little book, it's got some candy, it's got some great resources in there and next steps. So I want to encourage you to swing by, grab one of those. And then if we've never met before, I would love for you to come say hi. Anything you're not taking with you, go ahead and drop in one of the giving stations. Have an amazing week. We'll see you next time.